G'day everyone, welcome back to my shed on BC. Got a little bit for you this weekend. New item, a bit of a toy. I have some cutters to sharpen. We'll get back onto the big cutter. That's very hard and try and repeat the grinding process, but in a method that gives us a bit of positive clearance. And plus I've got a little welding trick for old men that are shaky like me. But first item, I'm going to be moving a few machines around on the floor in a few weeks' time to get a new toy in. We'll find out about the toy when it arrives. And I was watching Don from DD's Industrial Precision Machining moving machines around in his shed, and he had a come along on the floor and kneeling down with knee pads and trying to drag these heavy bloody things around. And I thought, I'm a bit old for that. And one of my suppliers sent me a bargain, buy three and get them for a good price, and I've got a mate who wanted for his shed. So it's a half-ton hoist if you double up with the pulley, obviously 250 kilos on a single strand, 10 metres of cable, and I think it's a little beauty. Does half that speed if you've got the pulley in, of course, and that's going to be so much better than me dragging things around on the floor. I'll be able to loop that sling around the columns around the shed here or the bases of other machines. I've got a couple of load skates, and I can also borrow a load skate from Graham with a steering handle on it. But I think I've got to move half a dozen machines to get one in, and then half a dozen machines back. I want to be doing it the easiest way possible. I think these would retail for about $275 plus GST, and over the top of your lathe and mill would probably be a terrific way for moving items around your shed. Or on the end of a gantry, I've got to set up on my short engine frame. I think it's an absolute bloody ripper. I don't think it'll have a good duty cycle, but a lot better than pulling on the old chain block. If I get time today, I've got 4 cutters to sharpen, and I'll give you a bit of a look in at gulleting these. There's a 12mm cutter, which is going to be an absolute pain to do. And I owe you fellas an apology. A couple of weeks ago I was doing a demonstration on how to gullet the large cutter and put my big hand fist in the way of the screen. So although these are a lot smaller, I'll bring you in again with that gulleting action and show you how you can change the rake angle just by moving your hand backwards and forwards a little bit. And also a welding tip. If you stay on till later on in the show, I did a repair on a hand cart that we've had here for many, many years. Just radial cracking around where the outrights come down onto the base plate. I've been meaning to do it for a long time, and I'm very happy with how my welding came out, and I'll show you a little bit of trick on how to help old fellas do it. Okay, enough yapping for now. Let's get things set up and get a little bit of work done this Saturday. Bye for now. Hey there fellas, it's the old bloke back again. Don't mind showing a bit of welding when it comes out reasonable. Galvanised sheet is just the base of our old handcart here at work, but a couple of hints: when you're welding gull material like this, use a 6013 type electrode. The flux freezes a little bit slower and allows the zinc gases to emit out of it, and use good quality electrodes. The cheap rods are just crap. But how do you do it when you shake like hell? Quite simple. Zoom back a little bit, and this is something that I thought up myself. I get a piece of broom handle about 2 inches long, drill a 5mm hole through the middle of it, sharpen the end on the right hand side, which was once pencil point, put the electrode through it and hold a piece of wood with your left hand. So instead of the electrode waving all over the place, you point it where you want it, the job gets done, and you come up with a reasonable weld. Something that you can be proud of and that will actually work. Now that particular piece of wood's been with me for a couple of years now. When the electrode gets down to about 4.5 or 5 inches long, you don't need it anymore. You've got a short rod. Saves you cutting electrodes in half. Okay, all for now. Please like and subscribe. Okay everyone, as I goofed last time I was gulleting the cutter, I'll go through this one again. You can see where it's been gulleted between the teeth. and I have ground that clearance angle. Get my hand out of the way. The way I gullet them is I line the angle of the flute that I'm gulleting to with the side of the wheel. That way I don't change the rake angle of the cutter. And I just impinge the grinding wheel just forward of that cutting edge. So it actually forms a rake angle up inside the cutter there, just a little bit. Now, you can vary the angle of the rake by moving the back of the cutter to the left or to the right. I know that appears up and down on your screen, but that's a bit of a dicky angle. By moving left or right, you change the angle of the flute relative to the side of the cutter or the rake angle of the cutter there. Okay, it's quite a fast cutting wheel. I rest the cutter on the tooth rest, angle it in until I do the grind that I want, and as I back out I rotate it a little bit anti-clockwise, and that grinds a bit of material away at the back of the flank, so it's not so far to come in with the grinding wheel to clean that piece up. Okay, I'll grab an annular cutter now and show you that. Once again, very similar. This is the cutter parallel with the side of the wheel. This is the cutter moved around until I'm going to be gulleting at the same angle that the flute was cut at. So no real drama. It is a bit of a bugger using the other wheel, the 1.5mm wheel. That makes the skin around your behind tighten up a little bit. But with this you just plunge in until you increase the depth of the cutter a little bit, and that gives the grinding wheel somewhere to escape in behind that cutting edge. Try and get you in the screen. Where the hell? That's a little bit better. Now you should be able to pick up that some of the cutters got 2 facets and some only have 1. And I'm going to be grinding into the back of that flank first to give it a bit more gullet space, and then the outside angle's the same as those. I don't know why they do cutters like this out of the factory. Okay, that's all for now. See you later on. Okay guys, it's a bit of a follow on from last week when we ground the big hard cutter. I had a sneaky suspicion it was ground up to shit. So what I've done is I've put a lever indicator on the land behind the cutting edge, and you can see, if I bring it around a bit further, that I've only ground a short distance and I perceive there might be something wrong. So the lever indicator is sweeping across the land behind the cutting edge, and if you have a positive clearance, the yanks call it a drop. The rear part should be lower than the front part, otherwise you've got no clearance. Well, if we wind the gauge along, that's about the start of the land, and you'll see that it's decreasing to the front, increasing to the rear. So we actually have a negative clearance there. So I'm going to scratch my head a little bit. I think I might change my setup and go back to first principles. I couldn't grind it in the fashion that I like to, just with the reach of this cutter. As I said before, it is very, very limited in its scope. So what I might do is put a packer strip underneath, if I can get down far enough. I might put a packer plate, and I'll show you some that I prepared earlier. In a previous video I showed these plates, and that allows me to use appliances like this that have a T-slot segment at the bottom of them that isn't removable up on top of the plate, and I can swivel them around. So I'll get a different setup up and running and bring you back when I'm ready to grind, and hopefully this time we'll make some clearance. Bye for now. Okay guys, just a little quick hint on setting up the Clarkson. I'm trying to go back to basic principles here to make sure I get positive clearance. So I set the cutter up in the workhead. I have the plate underneath the bracket so that I can swivel the bracket to whatever angle I want, and I'll get to that part shortly. But what I've done, using a very simple height gauge, is set the cutting edges. They were very close to centre. That's a little bit better, yeah. and then I put a bolt into the workhead to lock the cutter in that position. So that's my basic position. Now I'll set up the indexing finger to a cutting edge. Then I'll set the angle up that I want to grind the clearance at on the cutter and bring you back to show you the grinding. Bye for now. So we're back at the grinding stage. Very, very awkward setup, as you can see. All plate angles, head angles. It was very, very hard to get near what I wanted. So we'll take a few thou off. It's promising in the way it's coming up, but I can only take about a thou per pass. So let's grind it in and have a go. The tape landing would say let's go for it. Now, and again. And I'll try and zoom you in so you can see the witness marks where I've glued the teeth. And you can see the bright portion at the back of the land, and it's gradually coming towards the cutting edge. So I've got quite a bit, another couple of mils to approach. I'd say another 5 or 6 hours to do it. I'll bring you back down when it's finished rather than hold you on for too long. Okay guys, back again at the cutter. I've ground it all round. I think I have positive clearance there, but I may have to go in for a second land, a bit of a secondary. It's such a long land, I can't guarantee that the heel doesn't kick up. I'm running out of time today because Vera wants to get going, and I don't blame her, we've got a lot of shopping to do. But this is getting to be a bit of a saga. Next weekend I'll put the DTI back up on there and see if I was successful. So for now, goodbye. Please like and subscribe. See you next weekend.